Splendid. Splendid. Now, let's see.
Yes, let's see. What do we have here? I have for you a really high DPS glass cannon style sniper build. The idea with this build is not to run down the middle of the street with your hands in the air like you just don't care, daring someone to shoot you. You're not going to be able to take that kind of damage. This is pretty squishy. The idea is to get in and out unseen and end the fight before it even starts. Whether you're dealing with really high level boss type enemies or you're dealing with mobs, either way, you should be able to handle both. Notice my heavy investment in perception and agility, not leaning so heavily on luck. I'm not looking to store criticals with this build. I'm looking to maximize the criticals I get and to get free criticals. And I need gun fu for that. This is basically a gun fu sniper build, and it is possible with a sniper. You just need to get your AP up, and I'll show you how I do that.
That's everything. Just gonna walk this over to the vault. Congratulations on being prepared for the future.
Thanks again.
Yeah, right on, thanks. So when I get here, what I'm going to do is, you saw my starting special stats. I'm going to go ahead and drop another point into strength so we can mod some armor. I want to be able to put some ultralight mods on my stuff. Not worried about gun mods. I'll find those out in the wasteland. That is not a problem. Couldn't afford to invest any points in intelligence anyway. All right, so our starting stats here will be 2, 9, 1, 2, 1, 9, and 5. When we get our luck bobblehead, that'll unlock better criticals, and that's really what we're going to be looking at once we can get Gun Fu unlocked at level 50 to start getting some free criticals. Until then, it's primarily sneak stuff. Gun Fu will help when dealing with multiple enemies and v.a.t.s, but your sneak damage, like, you know, your obvious ones, Mr. Sandman with your silent sniper rifle, your ninja perks, and so on and so forth. And then for our accuracy in v.a.t.s, of course, we're going to want a high perception. We're going to want legendary gear that has perception and agility stats on it. As much of that as possible.
Sorry. Time to give you both the hard goodbye.
Okay, now in this case, we can't rely on sneak. But what I have here, and I was lucky to find it, is an instigating bolt action. What that means is it does double damage to enemies that are at full health, which does cause you to suffer a penalty if an enemy is already partially injured. Like if you walk up to a glowing Deathclaw and a glowing Rad Scorpion going at it, and they've both already hit on each other, you're not going to do that double damage. You'll still get your sneak perks, you know, your sneak buffs and all that kind of stuff, but you're not going to do the double damage you do with enemies at full health. But just to show that even not in sneak, this build is viable. I'm playing on very hard, by the way, so that is the
Finally die. I only hope I
that's the parameters we're working with.
You all over again, you piece of shit.
Okay, now here's a single target, once again on very hard, and I planted some bottle cap mines on those stupid annoying synths that he has with him off to the side, so we can just go 1v1 here. But I want to be able to get him down with one solid salvo in v.a.t.s. Now notice we're also not level 50 yet, so we obviously don't have all of our perks unlocked, but I was able to take Kellogg out with one shot of v.a.t.s. Obviously not one shot of my rifle yet, we're not quite there yet, but I was able to with one full shot of v.a.t.s. Now, you'll find with a sniper, if you put your medium or your long scope on there, and you've got your big heavy receiver and your thinned barrel and all this other stuff, depending on the mods that you put on your weapon can dictate how much it costs for each shot in AP, your action points. That basically dictates how many shots you have available with whatever gun you have equipped. Certain mods are lighter and don't require as much AP to use. What I've found to be effective is to actually use a short scope, which reduces your accuracy a little bit, but you compensate for that with a higher perception. All right, so take anytime you can, find legendary gear that gives you a point in agility and a point in perception. Every point of agility gives you bonus AP. Every point in perception increases your accuracy. All right, and our perception is already going to be at 10, and so is our agility. So we want as much AP as possible, and we want as much accuracy as possible. And with the small scope and the long light barrel and the calibrated 308 receiver, which I found to be more accurate than the 50, and it also gives you a bonus to critical damage. If you want to go with the 50, that's fine. I don't know how much that affects your AP cost, right? But you can compensate for that with other stuff. Not just your gear, but there's also food that you can make. Roasted Mirelurk, cooked soft shell Mirelurk meat and stuff like that gives you bonus AP. Psychojet gives you an extra, I think, 35 points, which is almost an extra shot with your sniper rifle by itself. Plus, it gives you a damage bonus. So I would abuse that, personally, and I do. I do abuse that. That is my absolute favorite, and it's easy to make. Now, also keep in mind, this is with a soft cap of level 50 to 55 in mind. I finish here at level 50, okay? It's really designed for level 51. Level 51 would have unlocked my last perk in Gun Fu. So I don't even have that here, right? What I'm primarily dealing with is just my perks up to level 50, and I'll show you exactly what I've picked and why. Basically, anything that gives you damage. That made it pretty easy. Find something that gives you damage and pick that deals with your particular weapon and your particular playstyle. Sneak damage, sneak attack damage, base weapon damage, obviously. And then on your last perk in Perception, you get 20% bonus damage for each consecutive shot. So my Perception tree is for basically boss killing, right? My last perk in Perception is for boss killing. My last perk in Agility is for mob killing. And you're like, well, you know, I like Critical Banker. Okay, that's fine. But remember, once you unlock that last perk in Gun Fu, and if you can get 4 or more, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 shots out of your sniper rifle, you get free criticals on your 4th target and beyond. So you get free criticals. And, you know, it's a trade-off. It's one or the other. Like I say, I kept a soft cap of about level, you know, 50, between 50, 55, maybe 60 tops, depending on if you want to, like, pick locks and things like that. You know, you'll have to level up a little bit more. The perks that I selected, I mapped that out, and level 51, I get absolutely everything I need to maximize my damage. Anything after that, maybe you want to do some intense training so you can, I don't know, do some gun nuts so for settlement building. Throw some points into charisma to do some settlement stuff with, you know, that type of thing. Whatever, that's up to you. But this is this build in mind. Just this build doing max damage. And almost got those last 2 targets down, and would have gotten them down with one more perk in Gun Fu unlocked. Because with Gun Fu, notice your 3rd target and beyond, you gain 50% bonus damage. And once you have the last Gun Fu perk unlocked, you just start getting free criticals. Everything after that is a critical, and you should be one-shotting just about everything. And we all know this, right? The haunted house, as I call it, with the Deathclaw in here. And I was almost able to one-shot her. I did not use a critical. Notice my critical meter is still full. So it was 2 basic shots from the sniper. 1 critical would have one-shotted her. And here is a behemoth that I found out here in the swamp, not too far from the gunner's base, where you get the small guns bobblehead. And let me get that one shot off on his face. And there it is. That's a one-shot. And that was not a critical either. So that gives us an idea of our damage output. And I think right here we were at, level 49, 50? I think I just unlocked my next perk in the perception tree. All right, so let's look. All right, so here's final stats. Is 3, 10, 2, 3, 2, 10, and then 6. Right, so I didn't put anything into lockpicking stuff like that. What I wanted to maxed out my explosives because I really like grenades. I was able to get all the weapon, the armor modification perks that I needed. But maxed out sniper, maxed out concentrated fire. Notice the last perk of concentrated fire gives you bonus damage for consecutive shots. So if you don't outright kill them, every shot after that, if you're fighting a really high level boss, really strong boss, and you can't one shot them, then every consecutive shot after that on the same body part will do bonus damage. And with headshots, it's pretty massive damage. And then with the obvious, Mr. Sandman, the ninja perks, And then in the next level, I'm level 50 now. At level 51, I'll be able to unlock the last perk in Gun Fu. And then this build will be essentially complete. Anything after that is just window dressing for yourself. Stuff that you want, Bloody Mess. Better criticals. A few perks in Scrounger. Really comes in handy if you're playing survival. And there we go. And those are my final stats. And this I found to be ridiculously effective. We streamed this over the course of, I don't know, 4 or 5 days or whatever. and it was playable all the way through. Now, once again, I was playing on very hard because I can't stand survival mode. Survival mode, this build is actually going to be even stronger because headshots, you get a huge bonus to headshots in survival mode. So you should essentially one-shot everything in the game. Literally, if you can get a headshot on it, you can kill it. That's just the way it is. It doesn't really matter what it is and what level you are. I would say that this would just, carry you all the way out, but it's going to be squishy. You're not going to be able to take those headshots early in the game because enemies get those bonuses too. It's the whole eat, drink thing that I can't stand. I found enemies to be in some ways harder, or they seem to be on very hard overall, but without the annoyance of having to eat and drink 45 minutes on the hour and constantly get tired from sleeping and all that crap. I'm not a fan. If that's your thing, cool. I'm glad you enjoy it. I can't stand it. It's annoying to me. It's like work, right? Anyway, I wound up finding a couple pieces of gear that had agility and perception on it. Would have liked another piece or two. There's also a combat helmet with perception and agility on it, sold by, I believe the merchant in the Pridwin with the Brotherhood, I think. Anyway, so you can find that stuff. I would keep your eye out for that. Get as much AP as possible so you can get off as many shots as possible. But I think for the most part, you'll find that you can one-shot just about everything. And notice on this legendary Overlord here, I one-shotted him with a body shot and never even had to get the second shot off. But it was good there for backup. And had I had Gun Fu unlocked, that would have been a critical. And he would have been, I don't know, double dead, right? But this is the most damage I can pull out of it. Now remember, I went with the instigating pipe rifle, which means that I get double damage to enemies at full health. And so, sure enough, that is one thing to keep in mind. But 90% of the enemies you fight are going to be at full health. When you first get into the fight, you don't let them take any damage. You just kill them. End the fight before it even starts, and it's over. They're a legendary gangrenous feral ghoul out here in the middle of the glowing sea. Now, on the third shot and beyond, I get a 50% bonus damage, so you might want to save your higher level enemies, like your Reavers and your gangrenous ones, for your third and fourth shot on up. I think right now, with the perks that I had, I was able to get off, about 6 shots with my pipe sniper. I think we probably could have pulled out 7 with the right stuff. You just got to look for, the chems and food and things like that give you bonuses to AP. There you go. That's my max DPS sniper build. Run with it and tell me what you think. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.